Hello today, my dear players. Today, I'd like to talk about Naruto again, and this time, I'd like to talk about a handful of changes that I would like to make in Naruto as a series. Not like overall, not like big changes necessarily, but little like individual changes to certain dynamics, certain fights, certain scenes, this type of thing, certain concepts. Because there's a lot of instances where I think Kishimoto was close to doing something really interesting, really good, but then just kind of fell flat for one reason or another. And so I talk about a lot of the smaller ones throughout this video. The first one I'd like to talk about is a change to how I'd handle the fight between Naruto and Neji during the Chunin exams. I think, and a lot of this also comes from how I'd handle the before bits, the leading up to it, in between the preliminary fight and the actual fight with Neji. And the way I'd kind of like to have this happen is that my biggest problem with Naruto versus Neji as a fight, despite it being so hype, is that it doesn't feel that earned of a win for Naruto. Not really. And sure, there's a lot of arguments to be made why he did earn it, and in a way he did. But I just don't think it's enough. So, today I thought I would kind of lay out what I think would make it better. And one big thing I think would make it better is if Naruto planned to fight the way that he did and made it clear that he planned to fight in the way he did. And this would come with a certain change. Basically, what I think would happen, what I think should happen, this also be a good Sakura moment for the series, a good change, is that Sakura would go out of her way to meet Naruto before, the time and the days before the match, and talk to him with information that she has managed to dig up about the Hyuga. And what this information would be kind of new information that I'm making up that I think makes sense for the Hyuga, in that the Hyuga, in this version of the story, I would specify, have relatively bad physical stamina and relatively bad chakra reserves. And that's part of the reason why they ended up making a fighting style so focused on shutting other people down quickly. Not just because the Byakugan is good for that, but also because they need to conserve their stamina and chakra as much as possible. So learning how to conserve very little chakra while shutting them down quickly is the best option for a Hyuga in this version of them. So Naruto would work with Sakura given this information, and the entire idea that they would lay out is that Naruto is not going to beat Neji in a straight up fight. He's just not. So Naruto ends up making a plan of burning as much time as possible, making Neji use up his chakra, use up his physical stamina as much as he can, bait as much of his resources out as possible. And because Naruto is so durable, because he has so much stamina, and because he has so much chakra, that is a type of fight that he is guaranteed to win as long as he can keep dragging it out. And I think that just establishing that alone, would do a lot to to make the victory against Naruto. Because after that, you can have the fight play out mostly the same with just that information, with just like a few pieces of dialogue here and there, maybe further extrapolating on it. And everything that happens in that fight would just feel better, I think. Because everything about that fight transforms from Naruto essentially getting almost fluking out as a win into a purposeful setup of Naruto turning this into a battle of attrition that he, as long as he can keep it a battle of attrition, will win. And the second thing that I think would be really, really, really cool, and I'm not completely sold on this idea, but I just think it would be really neat, is if Naruto learned through working with, after, doing chakra control training with Jiraiya, he ends up, again, talking with Sakura about ideas on how to beat Neji, things to mess him up. And that through working with her, and through his own kind of process of teaching himself with Sakura's input, Naruto learns how to make certain adjustments to his shadow clones. And what he decides to do is, how whenever a shadow clone is destroyed, there's smoke left behind. Just a little bit of smoke that quickly fades. What I think would be really cool is if through after the chakra control training and getting a better grip on chakra control himself, and talking with Sakura and kind of reviewing his own experiences fighting people, he would actually take inspiration from the Zabuza versus Kakashi fight, where Zabuza overcame Kakashi's Sharingan using the Hidden Mist, where what he would do, where Naruto would do, is that he would overcome the Byakugan at a clutch, figure out how to, at a clutch moment, using a shadow clone smoke bomb. The idea of it being very simple, that he, through his more precise control of his chakra and whatnot, that he can have that he can make the smoke from a particular shadow clone stick around for longer. And this smoke would be incredibly chakra dense, so that from Neji's perspective using the Byakugan, he can't see past it. It's just a wall of chakra, thus fooling his Byakugan. And I think that would be an epic thing to pull out, like Naruto to pull out of his ass near the end of the fight, where the reason why he wins isn't because of him digging through the ground and then sucker punching him from the under. The reason why he wins is that he sets a shadow clone to be destroyed, and when it's destroyed, the smoke cloud disperses out around Neji, and the cloak and the cloud, because it's chakra, so thick in chakra, Neji can't tell what the next thing is that it's going to happen. So his instinct, try to use rotation immediately again in order to get rid of the cloud. And immediately as he's done doing that, he's basically dizzy, actively, because he's used so much chakra. He's legitimately going to fall over soon, and then in his kind of staggering of his, and essentially at this moment in his exhaustion, his defense is finally effectively lowered. That's when Naruto can kind of appear and give the sucker punch and knock Neji out. Thus, the wind that Naruto gets is somewhat due to kind of fluking it a little bit, because he would have still gotten hit by the 64 palms and all that shit. But ultimately, the reason why he won would mostly be because of his hard work and because of his plan going into the fight. And obviously this would change a lot of things going forward, because he would have access to a chakra-thick smoke bomb. But still, I think that's really fitting for Naruto's character. It would be really cool. And would be a really nice moment of Naruto showing that he learned something from such an important point in his life, which was the Zabuza Haku fight. So yeah, that's one thing I'd change. The next thing I'd change is kind of skipping way ahead in the manga and anime, which is the whole Naruto chakra mode thing that Naruto gets from Kurama. I would change this. Not in that I would change the mode itself, but I would actually add some reasoning to it. And the way I'd go is that immediately after he has the whole, arc of beating the Nine Tails up and managing to draw out his chakra forcefully, his own, and get his chakra mode. When he sees the chakra mode, I would actually have Eight Tails go. That is a little weird. Not just because that's not normal, but also because that looks like a chakra mode used by Ashura. That's right. I would have it be a reference. I would have Eight Tails make that reference there. And what I would be kind of making this connection to, what this would be like, is, and get kind of further kind of conversation about it from Eight Tails and a bit from Nine Tails, although Kurama obviously won't be good at communicating, he won't want to, is that make this kind of establishment that Ashura was one of the, outside of the old man Hagoromo, was one of the only people to go out of their way to befriend the tailed beasts in general. Especially Kurama himself. You could say that Ashura was like the last person that Kurama met whom he respected before Naruto. And that Gyuki, the Eight Tails, kind of offers this kind of pseudo-theory that the reason why the Nine Tails chakra manifests like this in a person, because no one's ever properly tamed the Nine Tails before, is because of some association that the Nine Tails has to Ashura. It's like this kind of ideal that... Give me a second. This kind of idea of the Nine Tails emulating Ashura a bit, and kind of choosing his chakra to manifest like that. Now, because Kurama is kind of a fucking tsundere with Naruto, he obviously doesn't get the full power until later, as things go. But I think that being the explanation as to why the Nine Tails chakra mode is different from the cloaks that everyone else gets, would actually be really cool. Just this idea that it's a choice by Nine Tails to force his chakra to manifest in this different, specific manner when it's these circumstances, because he respects Naruto and not wanting to remit it in the same way that he respected Ashura. And then, the whole chakra avatar thing he's able to make with the stage 2 cloak is, along the same lines, the giant avatar that Ashura can make. It's rip on that, where I'm pretty more directly making it about, this is Kurama almost making a tribute to the last person whom he respected, essentially. And something along those lines I think would be really, really cool, and especially fitting considering that Naruto, I mean, a lot of people are going to bring up the fact that he's a descendant of Ashura, although I do not like a reincarnate of Ashura. I mean, I don't like it being that direct. I wouldn't make it that direct. I would still have Ashura and Indra exist. I just don't like it literally being incarnates. But regardless, there also could be some very fun interactions of, because Naruto is an Uzumaki, a Senju descendant clan who has connections back to Ashura, and due to Naruto earning the respect of the Nine Tails, both of these things come together to create a unique chakra reaction, creating the chakra mode. That's another way to view it that I like. Either of those or both of those at the same time, I'm good with. I just like having that explanation because I like the form. I do. I like chakra mode. I like version 2. I like all that stuff. I don't like that they don't really give like a satisfactory reason why it is the case that it's like that. So I think like giving that reason of just this is a special thing that Kurama is purposefully doing, well, maybe not so purposefully, doing for Naruto out of respect for both him and Ashura, the last person he respected. Also, the last change that I would make, this is one I really like and I think would have been really cool, but didn't happen, which is, we have Kabuto gaining access to Sage Mode and doing all these experiments on himself and becoming so important in the last few arcs of the show in manga, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Kabuto taking center stage. I don't like Orochimaru just being able, and I also, as another thing to throw out, I don't like Orochimaru being able to come out of nowhere, just like Orochimaru's back. And I get the justification, but it's really dumb to me. But even though I'd still like Orochimaru to come back, because I really like Orochimaru. And Kabuto, I don't like how he was defeated by Itachi and Sasuke. So what I think would be really cool is that Orochimaru, in his thousands of contingency plans self, essentially planted a jutsu in his own DNA. Because he predicted that Kabuto would want to use his DNA after he passed. And what the jutsu did is kind of a latent effect. Almost like a similar way that he hid in Sasuke's curse mark. Where what would happen is that when Kabuto achieves the peak of Sage Mode, the peak of his Sage Mode, and really shows that he's capable of it, and then gets weakened enough, mostly because I think that would, and then gets weakened enough, Orochimaru would have a jutsu in his DNA trigger. It would just be a latent effect that would trigger, allowing Orochimaru to take over Kabuto's mind and body. This idea that Orochimaru knew from the jump that Kabuto was eventually going to pull something like this should things go wrong, and that this was essentially his backup plan for if Sasuke didn't work out, and because he had a solid bet that Itachi might be able to take him out even after, getting access to Sasuke in that way, kind of predicting all of that. Thus, he could take over Kabuto's body as a contingency, and through that be able to gain access to Sage Mode, which he never could properly achieve before. And this new version of Orochimaru, that's newly powerful, decides to stop fighting Itachi and Sasuke, and even releases the Edo Tensei for them, because he sees a greater threat where Kabuto did not, in the infinite Tsukuyomi and whatnot. And, wants to do his own shit in the world, and doesn't want infinite Tsukuyomi to get in the way of that. And thus decides to help Sasuke go to the battlefield and start trying to, win. And it would be an awkward conversation between him and Sasuke, given everything that's happened. But I think that given the intensity of the situation, and what the state that Sasuke's mind would be in, that he'd be willing to pass it up, like kind of just kind of let it pass, and then they can, go revive the Kage and everything. And that reminds me of a change I'd like to do with the Shinigami release mask, but I think this video's gone on long enough. So if y'all want to hear the change I'd like to do with the Shinigami release mask, let me know down in the comments. I might talk about it again at some point. And I hope y'all like the changes I proposed. And so, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one.